people around you have probably noticed something different about you lately, even if you can't quite name it yourself. There's this quiet shift happening in how you move through your days, how you respond to situations that used to drain you, how certain conversations now feel like they're happening in a language you no longer speak fluently. You're not imagining it. You're not overthinking it. What you're experiencing is the psychological recalibration that happens right before everything clicks into place. Your brain is literally rewiring itself for what's coming next, and that process feels strange because you're caught between who you were and who you're becoming. Let's talk about what's really happening here, because most people miss these signals completely. They think they're going through a rough patch when they're actually going through a preparation phase. They mistake the discomfort of growth for evidence that something's wrong, when really their mind is just making space for something bigger. You've probably noticed that things that used to bother you don't hit the same way anymore. That friend who always has drama doesn't trigger the same emotional response. That situation at work that used to keep you up at night feels manageable now. It's not that you've become cold or disconnected. Your emotional thermostat has recalibrated to match where you're headed, not where you've been. This is your brain protecting your energy for what matters. Think about it like this. When your phone's battery gets low, it automatically goes into power saving mode. It stops running unnecessary apps in the background. It dims the screen. It prioritizes only what's essential. Your mind is doing the same thing right now, but instead of conserving battery, it's conserving emotional bandwidth. The relationships that used to feel necessary now feel optional. The activities that used to fill your schedule now feel like distractions. The goals that used to excite you now feel too small. This isn't depression or apathy. This is clarity, cutting through the noise of everything that was keeping you busy, but not moving you forward. Here's what most people don't understand about winning seasons. They don't start with a bang. They start with a quiet knowing, a subtle shift in how you see yourself and what you're willing to accept. The big changes everyone notices come later. Right now, you're in the foundation phase, where the real transformation is happening beneath the surface. Your tolerance for certain behaviors has dropped significantly. You find yourself saying no without lengthy explanations. You're walking away from conversations that would have hooked you for hours before. You're making decisions faster because you're no longer second-guessing your instincts about people and situations. This isn't about becoming harder or more guarded. It's about becoming more aligned with your actual values instead of the values you thought you should have. When you were operating from survival mode, you said yes to things because you were afraid of missing out or disappointing people. Now you're operating from choice mode, where every decision is filtered through whether it moves you closer to or further from where you want to be. The interesting thing about this phase is how isolating it can feel. You're changing faster than the people around you, and that creates distance. Not because you're better than anyone, but because you're operating at a different frequency. You're thinking longer term, while they're still caught up in the same cycles you've outgrown. Some of your friends might even comment that you seem different, distant, or that you've changed. They're not wrong. You have changed. But change isn't betrayal, even though it can feel that way to people who are comfortable with the version of you that no longer fits. Here's the psychological truth about growth that nobody talks about. Every time you level up, you have to grieve the person you were. Not because that person was bad, but because holding on to outdated versions of yourself prevents the new version from fully emerging. It's like trying to wear clothes from when you were 12. They serve their purpose, but they don't fit who you are now. Your winning season isn't about suddenly becoming perfect or having everything figured out. It's about operating from a place of internal stability instead of external validation. You're no longer trying to prove yourself to people who were never paying attention anyway. You're no longer seeking approval from people whose opinions you don't actually respect. This shift shows up in small ways that might seem insignificant, but are actually revolutionary. You stop checking your phone first thing in the morning because you're more interested in your own thoughts than other people's updates. You stop explaining your boundaries because you realize that people who respect you don't need explanations, and people who don't respect you won't accept them anyway. You start making decisions based on how they align with your long-term vision instead of how they make you feel in the moment. You choose the uncomfortable conversation over the comfortable lie. You pick the harder path that leads somewhere meaningful over the easier path that leads nowhere. The people who belong in your winning season will understand these changes without you having to defend them. They'll see your growth and want to grow alongside you. The people who don't belong will resist your evolution because it forces them to confront their own stagnation. This is why your social circle might be shifting right now. It's not that you're becoming antisocial or difficult, it's that you're becoming selective. You're choosing quality over quantity in every area of your life. Fewer friends, but deeper connections. Fewer activities, but more meaningful ones. Fewer goals, but more aligned ones. Your mind is also processing information differently now. You're seeing patterns you missed before. You're connecting dots that seemed unrelated. You're trusting your intuition more because you've learned to distinguish between fear-based thoughts and wisdom-based insights. The anxiety you used to feel about making the wrong choice has been replaced by confidence in your ability to handle whatever comes next. Not because you think you're invincible, but because you've proven to yourself that you can adapt and grow through challenges instead of just surviving them. This is why opportunities are starting to appear in ways they never did before. It's not magic or luck. It's that you're finally operating at the frequency where good things can find you. When you're not scattered, desperate, or constantly in crisis mode, you become available for the kind of connections and chances that require presence and readiness. Your winning season is less about external circumstances changing and more about you changing in ways that make better circumstances possible. The job, the relationship, the breakthrough, the recognition. Those are just reflections of the internal work you've been doing, often without realizing it. Right now, you're in the final stages of becoming someone who can handle what they've been asking for. Think about the last time you walked into your childhood bedroom after being away for years. Everything looks smaller than you remembered. The posters on the walls feel outdated. The furniture that once felt so important now seems irrelevant to who you've become. That's exactly what's happening to your entire life right now, except instead of outgrowing a room, you're outgrowing an entire version of yourself. The strangest part about approaching your winning season isn't the obvious stuff. It's not suddenly having more money or better opportunities knocking down your door. It's the subtle psychological shifts that happen weeks or months before the external world catches up. Your brain starts operating like it already knows something your conscious mind hasn't figured out yet. You've probably noticed that you're sleeping differently lately. Not necessarily better or worse, but different. Your mind isn't racing through the same loops it used to. The thoughts that kept you awake for hours now feel like background noise you can simply turn off. This isn't because your problems disappeared. It's because your brain stopped treating every minor inconvenience like a life-threatening emergency. There's this weird phenomenon that happens when you're about to level up. Your emotional reactions become almost eerily calm. Things that would have sent you spiraling 6 months ago now bounce off you like you're wearing invisible armor. It's not that you've become numb or indifferent. You've just developed what psychologists call emotional granularity. You can distinguish between what deserves your energy and what's just noise. Your conversations have probably gotten shorter too, not because you're being rude, but because you've lost the ability to pretend that small talk feels meaningful. When someone asks how you're doing, you give them a real answer, or you give them nothing at all. The middle ground of polite fiction has become impossible to navigate. This is where most people start worrying that something's wrong with them. They think they're becoming antisocial or losing their ability to connect with others. But what's actually happening is that your authenticity filter has become so refined that anything fake or surface level feels physically uncomfortable to engage with. Your phone habits have changed without you consciously deciding to change them. You used to scroll through social media for hours, absorbing other people's highlights and lowlights. Now you find yourself putting the phone down after 5 minutes because other people's drama feels like a foreign language, not because you don't care about people, but because you've stopped using other people's lives as a distraction from your own. The people who are meant to be in your winning season can feel this shift in you, even if they can't articulate it. They start seeking you out more. They ask for your opinion on things they never would have asked about before. They treat you like someone who has answers, even when you don't feel particularly wise or enlightened. Meanwhile, the people who belong to your previous chapter start feeling uncomfortable around you, not because you're doing anything different, but because your presence forces them to confront their own patterns. When someone is genuinely changing, it creates a mirror effect for everyone around them. Some people look in that mirror and get inspired. Others look in that mirror and get defensive. You might notice that certain people have stopped inviting you to things, or they invite you but seem surprised when you actually show up. They've unconsciously categorized you as someone who's moving in a different direction, and they're not wrong. You are moving in a different direction. The question isn't whether you should feel guilty about that. The question is whether you're brave enough to keep moving. Your relationship with time has fundamentally shifted. You used to think in terms of days and weeks. Now you're thinking in terms of months and years. This long-term perspective makes you incredibly patient with processes that used to frustrate you. You're willing to plant seeds now that won't bloom for seasons because you finally understand that everything worthwhile takes time to develop properly. The most disorienting part of this transition is how your problems start solving themselves, not through magic or manifestation, but through the accumulated effect of making slightly better decisions consistently over time. The debt that seemed insurmountable starts decreasing because you stop buying things you don't need. The relationship issues start resolving because you stop tolerating behavior that doesn't serve you. Your brain has essentially upgraded its operating system, and now it's running programs more efficiently. You make connections between seemingly unrelated events. You see patterns in people's behavior that help you predict outcomes before they happen. You start trusting your instincts, not because you've become psychic, but because you've learned to distinguish between intuition and anxiety. This is why people in your life keep saying you seem different, but they can't pinpoint exactly what's changed. Your energy signature has shifted. You're operating from a place of internal security instead of external seeking. You're not trying to get something from every interaction anymore. You're not performing for approval or validation. The weird part is that this makes you more magnetic, not less. When you stop chasing, things start coming to you. When you stop trying so hard to be likable, people find you genuinely interesting. When you stop seeking opportunities everywhere, the right opportunities start presenting themselves naturally. Your standards have become non-negotiable in ways that surprise even you. You used to accept mediocrity because you thought it was realistic. Now you'd rather have nothing than settle for something that doesn't align with where you're headed. This isn't about becoming picky or entitled. This is about finally understanding your worth and protecting it accordingly. The jobs you used to apply for desperately now feel beneath your potential. The relationships you used to cling to now feel like they would slow down your progress. The goals you used to chase now seem too small for the person you're becoming. This isn't arrogance. This is alignment. Your winning season is built on this foundation of internal clarity and external selectivity. You've stopped trying to force things that aren't meant for you, which creates space for things that are. You've stopped saying yes out of fear, which allows you to say yes from excitement. You've stopped settling for less, which positions you to receive more. The universe isn't rewarding you for being good. Life is responding to you being real. And reality has a way of matching the energy you consistently put out into the world. So here you are, standing at the edge of something you can't quite name yet, feeling different in ways you're still learning to understand. The discomfort you've been experiencing isn't a sign that you're moving in the wrong direction. It's proof that you're moving in the right one. Your winning season isn't something that happens to you. It's something that emerges from you after months or years of small, consistent choices to honor who you're becoming instead of who you used to be. The external changes everyone will notice are just the visible result of internal work that nobody sees. Right now, you're in the final phase of preparation. Your mind has been quietly organizing itself for what's next. Your emotional system has been recalibrating to handle better circumstances. Your energy has been redirecting away from what drains you and toward what fulfills you. All of this has been happening beneath your conscious awareness, like software updating in the background. The winning season you're entering isn't about perfection or having everything figured out. It's about operating from clarity instead of confusion, from choice instead of reaction, from alignment instead of resistance. And once you start living from that place, everything else begins to shift to match that frequency. If this video felt like it was describing your exact experience, you already know what that means. You're not waiting for your season anymore. You're in it.